Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Being Abroad. I hope everyone had an amazing week or is having an amazing week so far. And I just wanted to let you guys know that last week was the launch of our very first episode. So if you have not checked out DeAndre's episode and his experience in China, you might want to go back and check that out before you check out this amazing story. I promise you, it's a lot of tea in there, a lot of details, and a lot of information. So definitely go check that out. We've officially released that episode on our YouTube channel at Oswego Abroad. The YouTube channel name again is Oswego Abroad. So go check it out. Leave a like, leave a comment. Tell us where you want to travel. You know, we're always open to just hearing about everybody's experiences and hearing about where you guys want to go next. However, on this episode, I have someone very special coming on this episode. This is someone who has been to so many different countries and has participated in so many study abroad programs while in high school and throughout her college experience. You guys already know that this episode is going to be filled with so much information and so much details. I have had the pleasure to hear some of her stories, and I've also had the pleasure of being on discussions with her. And, you know, every time I hear her story, I'm just like, wow, sis, I want to be like you when I grow up. So without further ado, guys, sit back, relax, and enjoy. So, hey guys, before we even tackle this podcast, I definitely would like for our special guest to introduce herself, where she's been, as well as her identity. So go for it.
Thank you, Awa. So my name is Naomi. My pronouns she, her, or ella. Um, I have been, I've studied abroad in a couple of locations while I was in Oswego, which I'm very grateful for. So during my freshman year, I believe I spent about a week in Argentina. Um, I think that was a quarter course. We were in Buenos Aires for a week. My sophomore year, I did Benin, which is a country located in West Africa. And then I did a summer, I think a month in Italy as well. And then junior, senior year, I think my first semester of senior year, I decided to do a semester in Brazil, in Sao Paulo. So I took advantage of a lot of it. So I'm very proud of it, and it was very exciting. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. And Dominican, from the Dominican Republic, and have been raised for most of my life in the Bronx here in New York City.
Period. New York City in
the BX.
City in the building. But wow, yeah. I love like talking to alumni, especially like people who have like records like you. Like you've done like 4 study abroad, and I'm just like, wow, like I'm telling you, study abroad is one of those things that are like super like people don't even understand the benefits of it.
Once you get hooked up, you just can't stop.
I swear. I can definitely agree. So being that you've been to so many different places, can you give us background as to why you decided to travel to each of or study abroad in each of the countries that you decided to go to?
So like before I decided that I was gonna like go off on studying abroad in undergrad, I was very privileged to do a 2-week exchange program in my high school during my senior year. And that's really what kind of started it off for me, because other than, you know, I was born in the Dominican Republic and most of my childhood was left in between, but it's like I only knew those 2 worlds, you know, DR and the US. So going to China was my very first time stepping out of those 2 worlds. And so I was like, whoa, there's more out there. And I was like, oh my God, I need to do more of this. And then, so when I was introduced to, you know, study abroad office at Oswego, and I was told that there's more opportunities to travel, I was like, whoa, okay. So I definitely need to take advantage of this. And I made a promise to myself. I told myself, I need to, you know, like visit at least one country every year during my time at Oswego, and I kept that promise. I wasn't even sure what kind of countries I wanted to go to. I just know I wanted to continue to travel, to be honest. Yeah. I just wanted to be out. So, I don't know about the quarter courses and, summer programs and all that and semester programs. So, Argentina, I did as like I just told myself, okay, like why not just start off small,
Mm,
like 1 week, and I think we did maybe 4 or 5 weeks of studying the culture
mhm,
beforehand. And since I was already, like my native language is Spanish, and I'm pretty comfortable with the Latin culture, so I was like, okay, why not?
mhm,
Um, and so that was why I chose Argentina. Benin and Italy, I feel like Benin really intrigued me because it was discussing sustainability
mm,
um, in Benin and also the education system. And
mm,
throughout a pretty large period of my time at Oswego, and still now, I consider myself an education advocate, whether it's like, national education, like improving the system here in the US,
mm,
or just being able to increase quality education in all the countries abroad, specifically in impoverished countries. So I
mm,
was really interested by that. And that's why like Benin really was like such a really interesting program that I would like had interest in applying. And then Italy, it was because I had studied Italian maybe for 3 years in high school, and
mhm.
I ended up minoring at Oswego. So I figured I need to put my Italian skills to practice.
Right.
So that's why. And then Sao Paulo, Brazil. I've always had, I think, I don't know, something about the Brazilian culture always caught my eye. I think the vibrancy and just how like lively it is.
Mhm,
Um, and especially because I also ended up meeting a lot of like Brazilians while living in Hart Hall
mhm.
at Oswego, and so I was always in contact with them, and I'm like, oh my god, I need to visit, I need to learn more about the Brazilian culture, and I was into music, and I'm like, I want to, learn Portuguese. I took a few courses before, so I was like, I definitely need to hit up Brazil. And I was like, okay, I could do a semester out there. Why not? And it was fun because I ended up like living with a host family, which always I think enriches the experience a lot more. You know?
Mm. Wow, wow,
Yeah.
wow. Like that's actually crazy.
Yeah.
I also lived in Hart Hall as well. And I feel like
Okay.
that also like that kind of like it's like a
It really gives you,
like
yeah,
it just gives that
yeah,
extra push because like all around you is international students and you're just like,
literally.
wow, like
I
maybe
feel like it's underestimated for some people. I'm
yeah,
like, dude, Hart Hall is where is that?
yeah.
I was there for all 4 years. Like, I didn't want to leave.
Yeah, like up until like, this pandemic stuff happened where we had to go home, I
Yeah,
was strictly in Hart Hall. Like if I was still in Oswego,
yeah.
I would strictly
You
stay.
see,
I love Hart
yeah,
Hall so much. I love the
yeah.
concept. I love just the mission of that building in itself.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so
Same.
underrated and people don't even like realize
Yeah.
outside of the ISTs, like it's not even
It's
that bad. Like the
it's
ISTs are
really
actually fun.
not.
The ISTs
It
are
right?
actually fun.
Like there's a lot of great conversations that happen at ISCs, and a
Right.
lot of them aren't even all about, you get a whole lesson, whatever. It's literally like watching, the documentaries or even fun movies.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I absolutely love my time at
Mhm.
Heart. Like it's pretty dope, and you get like first of all, you get to meet people from literally around the world. So whenever you travel to countries, you could be like, "Hey, yo, can you host me? You don't even have
Right.
to pay
Like
for like hotel." You
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. I feel like that was one of the things I kind of regretted, like while I was living in Hart Hall, because my study abroad experience was a little bit more like the spontaneous side. It wasn't really
Mhm.
completely planned. And like while I was there and I swig on me, I was just like, let me just get my work done and go. So I didn't interact with as
Yeah.
many international students as I really,
It
really
could
wanted.
be intimidating. It could be intimidating.
Yeah, because and then now that like if the pandemic had not happened and I had came
Mm.
back because I came back from my study abroad trip right when the pandemic happened. If I
Yeah,
had
yeah,
came back and the pandemic didn't happen and I was still in Hart Hall, I definitely think I would have been speaking to
yeah, yeah. Especially
everybody,
after traveling. Yeah, I feel that.
everybody.
I feel
But
that. I agree. Yeah,
yeah,
for sure. You know what? I feel like what helped me interact with more people in Heart was also, I completely forgot about this, but I was a desk attendant for most of my time in Heart.
Mm.
So I
Mhm.
was always in contact with them, and whenever they would see me at the desk, they would always stop and have conversations. And so that really like helped me. But I could definitely understand. It's always intimidating to speak to someone from a different culture because you
Right.
don't know, like you never know what the vibe could be.
Mhm.
But it's just always worth it, you know.
Yeah, like they're always nice. So if anybody
Yeah.
on this is listening and you guys are thinking about
Oh,
studying abroad and you just want to like maybe experience just being around,
right.
international students, just move to Heart. Honestly,
Definitely
just do
recommend
it.
10 out of 10, like for
10 out
real.
of 10 for sure. Like 10 out of
Yeah.
10 would recommend like just go to Heart Hall for a semester and then from there you can decide
Yeah.
where you want to go. Like it's actually
Yeah.
fun.
That's
Uh,
actually good. Yeah.
right.
Me too.
Let me see. So I know you were saying that at Oswego, I believe you were, correct me if I'm wrong, Argentina was the first study abroad you did while you were at
Yeah.
SUNY Oswego. So can you talk about like the process of that? Because I know a lot of people always have questions about like, how did that
Yeah.
happen? Like, can you talk a little bit about the process of the steps that you took prior to going and, the continuous maybe assistance that you got while you were still
Mm.
in the country? And also, what program did you go to?
For Argentina, I believe it was like from what I remember, it wasn't a stressful process at all. Applying through the portal, I think you have to answer a few questions and maybe I think two paragraphs. It is nothing like crazy to be honest.
Right.
Um, and then you also, I think when I was applying, you had to put a deposit in. I was very grateful that I was an EOP student, and so they allowed me like for every if like for whatever time that I applied for a study abroad program,
Mhm.
they actually waived the fee, so they paid it for me.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, and after that, I like it wasn't. It's nothing. I feel like some people may have some like misconceptions as to like, oh my god, am I gonna get accepted or not? I don't think it's like this huge thing like, oh, I'm applying, I have to wait. It actually happens pretty fast.
Mhm.
Um, and if I'm not mistaken, I think for Argentina, I applied to some scholarship, specifically the Gecko.
Mhm.
I forget. I think it's in the modern languages department.
Yeah, uh-huh.
And so that kind of helped, but it was very simple. After my application was accepted, which didn't take long, if I remember correctly. They asked for like extra documents where there was like personal ID or like the passport.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, it wasn't too crazy to be honest. I feel like throughout, even for example, the one where it was like a semester abroad, it wasn't stressful at all.
Mhm.
I think like I didn't need a visa for Argentina.
Mhm.
For Brazil, I did because I was going to be there for longer.
Mhm.
Um, and but it was pretty smooth to be honest. I After the whole thing, then we just had to meet. I think once a week for 4 weeks. I forgot for how long, but it was a really short period of time, and we met maybe for like 2 hours, and
Mhm.
we discussed the culture in Argentina and learned about its history. And then after, we just spent a week in Argentina, like touring around. We did do a lot of fun stuff. Like I remember we went to the countryside, which was really interesting to see.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, it was a pretty like simple, straight, like forward process. And the office, like the study abroad office, was always willing to help.
Mhm.
Any questions or anything, it was as long as you really like stay on top of it, because I feel like people start their applications and then they like, oh, I'll just do it later. Like it's
Right.
literally 1, 2, 3. Like you don't have to put much thought into it. Just go for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so being that Argentina, I didn't realize you definitely did say Argentina was a week. So in terms
Yeah.
of like, because I know a lot of people have been like sharing, especially with the CAPA program, how once they got to like the country, everything was
Mm.
kind of already, the itinerary was set for them for the whole entire
Yeah.
semester. So can you talk about like maybe, because I know you said you did a program abroad where you went for an entire semester. How was the
Yeah.
system when you got down there? Like how did you have like an
Mm.
advisor down there? How did you navigate your way? Because a lot of them don't really
Yeah.
know a perspective outside of just campus. So, like,
Yeah.
how was that?
Yeah. That's valid. Yeah. That's a good question. So yeah, for shorter programs, I think the itinerary is always going to be set. You may have some like very few time to I guess explore on your own. But when it comes to longer programs like semester or even a month, like the one I did in Brazil, you
Mm,
definitely have a lot more time to go about your day and explore the town. For the semester one, you're a lot more independent. I will say the support from the host university that I was at, they did help at the beginning when it came to getting like paperwork, because when we arrived, we had to make sure we register with like the federal police, and it's like
mm,
a long process, and you have to get papers notified. I forget the it's a notified. I forget the word, but you got you need to take like pictures and get all these paperwork together. So they would take us to the places to get all that done, and then to the
mhm.
federal police. So we wouldn't have to go on our own, which is like was really dope, because when
Right,
it's your first time, you don't really know how to get around.
right.
Um, After that, you're pretty on your own, to be honest. Like I said before, I was very grateful that I decided to be with the host family.
Mhm,
And I wanted that because when I went to China in senior year, I lived with the host family for some time, and I understood that you could get like a lot more experience and more immersed in the culture, because you understand how they live and you see their day to day, and also you get to practice the language with them. So
mm,
yeah, I was like, okay, why not? And the my host family's apartment was maybe like, I'm gonna say, a 10-minute walk away from the university.
oh,
Like
wow. Mhm,
yeah, it wasn't too bad. And it was just like a safe neighborhood. And so after that, I will say, I was asked, I think before I arrived to Brazil, I was asked if I wanted to have like I don't know how, like what you would call it, but like a buddy, like
mhm,
I guess a Brazilian student from the same university to like, I guess, like show
mhm,
me around and introduce me to different places.
mhm.
And I was like, sure, like why not? Like, I mean, at least I'll begin to like making like friends that I didn't, have.
Right,
Um, and so that was really cool. That helped me because he would, like take me around to different museums or different areas that maybe were very popular but not well known by like tourists.
mhm,
And I also got to practice uh, the language with him because he didn't know much English.
mhm.
So it was nice. So that was like a support that I really appreciated from the university.
Right.
Um, Outside of that, then we just do like, go to class, whatever, and do whatever you want. I was grateful that I got to like travel around Brazil for the
Mhm.
holidays. But yeah, it's pretty like just laid back after that. Like I think maybe for the first like 2 weeks, you maybe have it could feel hectic because you're just getting settled in. But
Yeah.
after that, things are pretty chill.
That's good. That's good. I like that perspective in itself because similar to mine, like I didn't go through CAP. I simply just applied through, the
Yeah.
Lego portal. So, our experiences is definitely a little bit different. But definitely from the looks of it, I would definitely say like from like us just applying through Oswego, I definitely feel like we had a little bit more control over our trip, in
Mm,
terms of like just like the freedom to like kind of like just explore and actually just be a student. And
mm,
I think I really, really like that about that. Like I didn't have to go to like any special programs or I didn't have to
yeah.
like go to certain meetings. Like
Same.
I feel like I had a lot of freedom down there. Like
Yeah.
especially for somebody who's studying
Same.
around a country I've never been to, I
Yeah.
would have to say like the freedom is definitely there. Like I actually felt
Yeah.
like I was actually out there alone, but it
Mhm.
wasn't like a bad alone. Like I knew where to go if I needed
Yeah.
help.
It really
I knew
pushes
where
you
to go.
to
Yeah.
like really dive in. So I would definitely say the same about my program. My program I was free. Like when I tell you I got to like all the like friends I made in Heart Hall that were Brazilian, I would hit them up, and like thankfully they were literally from all around Brazil. And
Right.
so I got to visit different like cities, south, north, west. So I was
Mhm.
like, yo, can I pull up? Like, can I pull up this weekend? And so it was definitely very free.
Mhm.
Yeah, the structure, I feel like some people may lean onto having some like sort of like program structure,
Yeah.
just because out of the fear of like, oh my god, am I not gonna enjoy it?
Mm.
I will say if it's your like very first time ever traveling abroad by yourself, could be an option. However, it's not the only thing. Like even if you're alone and you have freedom, that allows you to really push yourself to make friends, and those friends will be down to have experiences that you probably never imagined.
All the way.
So yeah.
All the way. No, yeah. And then I really want to touch back on, because you've been to so many different countries. Like, I just know a lot of people are going to be thinking, like, how does she do this? How does she afford it? So I definitely want to tackle this all down into like different, like, definitely break it down into different pieces. Because I know you said that you were part of the EOP program, and I think you and one other person I know were a part of the EOP program. So how can you like describe like the perks of like, being in the EOP program and how you can leverage that in your your like ability to study abroad?
Listen, I honestly don't. I'm not sure if it wasn't for the EOP, if I would have traveled to many, like all those programs. Just because the fee was, I think, I don't know. I'm not sure if it's still the same. It was like $250, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
It's either $250 or $500, but I think it's $250.
Yeah. So, if I had to pay that every single time that I was applying to a program, I probably wouldn't, to be honest. So when I heard that as an EOP student, I have, the blessing to have this fee be waived, I'm like, oh, let's go. What other programs can I apply to? Like you have to take advantage of these things. And so I think also working on campus and having multiple different jobs, like, whether it was work study or like working for Rest Life as a desk attendant, I always like did the best that I could to save up and use that and use some of that money abroad. So being EOP definitely helped a ton. And I also like would have support from my like EOP counselors, and they were like, be like, oh, like, would this be a good program? I think that's how I found out, honestly, about the Benin program. I don't think I was aware of it, because I know you can like go on the portal and search up different programs, but for the Benin, I don't think I had searched about it. I think I was told through it by my EOP counselor. She was like, hey, because I think she was one of the ones who was leading. It's like, hey, we're doing this program on education and sustainability, and I was like, oh, okay, let's do it. And so, having these connections and really taking advantage of these resources, I think it's very important to know. So EOP definitely held it down for a lot, because I really took advantage of it.
Right. That's actually really good. Yeah, like when it just comes to like planning, definitely plan ahead. Because I know like with you kind of said that you already had like a set goal for yourself. Like you were going to go someplace every year. So it was already in your head that, you're going to study abroad. So you definitely did have, time to prepare in like the financial aspect of things for you to visit all these different countries. But, definitely as speaking from a student who didn't prepare, who kind of like, I was just like, listen, I came back January, I was like, hey, I want to go somewhere in the fall. I only had
a couple of months, probably.
A couple months, really.
You had to apply before,
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I had a couple months to get it together, but I definitely would say like, if especially when it comes to like finances, if somebody does have like an issue with finances, like, like Naomi said, there are scholarships, there's the language one, Hart Hall, even.
Again, Hart Hall got you.
Hart Hall has their own scholarship.
Yeah. I actually got that one for one of my travels.
Yeah, I got that one as well. Yeah. And all you have to do when you come back is just put on a presentation talking about your experience. You literally talk about yourself. Like, free money. I'm telling you, again, this is free money. And if you're somebody who is thinking about it, like maybe you can also apply to scholarships in advance. Like there's so many study abroad scholarships. People like when people travel. So people like to give money to people who like to travel.
There's money out there. There's money out there.
Literally.
There's free money out there.
Free money. And I know some of you guys are probably like, oh, some of these programs are expensive. Because, sometimes the higher programs, to like the popular countries are a little bit expensive. However, there are packages that match the exact tuition fee, even lower than Oswego. Like you can literally leverage. So definitely keep that in mind. Like I know for me, Czech Republic was definitely one of those countries that was like, I think it was the same amount as to even attend Oswego, I believe. So I was like, you know what? I'm already paying all this money to go here. Why not just go to a different country? Like,
that was literally my thought.
I might as well do it.
I'm like, hey, if I'm getting these loans out here, why don't I just like study in another country for even less amount or about the same, like
Right, like,
it,
why not?
why not take advantage of it? And there are so many, like you said, Al, there's so many scholarships out there. I
Mhm,
know there's links to them on the Oswego website, but
mhm.
even outside of the Oswego website, you can always look them up on, Google.
Yep.
Like there's always organizations, like
Mhm.
even like I would say if there's a program, if there isn't like a country or kind of program under Oswego that that doesn't interest you, and
Right.
you're like, oh, there's other programs like third or like party organizations that you can apply to and
Mm,
you can still get credit for at Oswego.
right.
I also want to mention that I think during the time that I was a student, I was told, I don't know if this is still true,
Mhm.
I was told that as a SUNY student, you can actually go study abroad with another SUNY. Like if they did,
Yeah, through other programs, yeah.
yeah. So that's another option. There's options out there. There's options.
Yeah, that's a I'm so glad like you mentioned that because I know like
Yeah.
I remember I was speaking to I think I was speaking to Kelsey about this,
Mm,
who's actually for anybody who doesn't know Kelsey,
yeah.
that was my coordinator when I was abroad.
Yeah. She's so
Um,
sweet.
I
I
I
remember
love
her.
Kelsey. I love Kelsey. But I know like there was a student who wanted to go to like the Netherlands, and I don't
Mm,
believe Oswego offers the Netherlands as a country.
yeah.
But I know another SUNY school did offer it. So the student was able to, if she wanted to go, she was able to apply through another SUNY. So there's
Hmm.
any country you can think of, there's literally a program
Yeah.
for it.
There,
Like
there is.
are
It's
literally
just searching it up, man. You got to put the time into it. That's
searching
what
and
it is.
also asking. Because if you
Asking
study
for
abroad
real.
office, like there's literally people there who they work there. They know what they're talking
They
about.
know
They know
exactly.
what
They get paid
they're
for it,
talking
so
about.
ask them. You do,
Right.
and they will lead you to the right place. Yeah.
That's a fact. If you guys don't know where it's in Sheldon Hall, room 100.
Oh my god,
um,
I always loved making my walk over there. I'm like, hey, I'm going
same,
to study abroad office, and I see the flags. I'm like, ooh,
yes,
okay.
same, same. Like when I used to walk in Sheldon, I used to make sure that I seen people walking past me. Like, look at where I'm headed. Yep, I'm going
Yeah, like
to the office.
yo, a
Up,
lot of people don't be knowing about the office.
hey,
I'm
you
like,
going to the science hall? I'm going to the international hall. No, we are not the same. So you gotta,
it
you
be
gotta
like
make
that.
it known. You gotta make it known. Like
Ooh, there's opportunities out there, yeah, and people be sleeping on it. So,
so
mm-mm.
much. That's what I yeah, but I'm just like I definitely am thinking like, definitely in the future a lot of people are gonna study abroad more, especially, since the pandemic happened.
I
Everybody's
really
traveling
pray,
left
yeah.
and right. So I definitely hope people leverage this opportunity because it's so fun just being away from
Yeah.
the
Oh
comfort
my
zone,
God.
being in a
It
different space
you
and
learn
being
so
able
much
to
about
afford it.
yourself.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Like, and honestly, I feel like for us people of color, like I think
Mm,
that's not money is always one of our fears because
yeah.
we never like that's what really has kept us like
Mhm.
limited to do certain things. And I'm gonna keep it a buck. That's when like it's a fear, but I think there are options. Not I know there are options out there for us to be
Mm.
supported in that way. So dude, you see all these people out there traveling. I want people to know, yeah, like we deserve to be out there too. Like
Yep.
it can be scary, obviously do your research and all that stuff, but
Mhm.
fear is a part of it. I think it's like whenever you're doing something for the first time, fear, like you're bound to have it.
Mhm.
And it's a really part of the journey. So like we need more people out there that look like us because we deserve to be exploring the world. We just
Yeah.
deserve it. And that's on period. Like we really deserve to be out
That's
there
a fact.
traveling.
That's a
Yeah.
and like that's why I love like talking to underrepresented students
Yeah.
where I feel because I just feel like people just don't know the opportunities that are out there simply because
Right.
they kind of have these ideas already like like
Mhm.
oh my god this costs 20,000, yeah, I'm not going to that. It's just like bro, just ask.
Nah,
Like you don't
bro.
even realize financial aid could cover your whole entire trip.
Oh, you don't have to pay one penny for it.
Not even a
Yeah.
cent. Not even a cent. And it's like it's one of those things where it's like, being that we it's like my family are immigrants to this country. I know you said
Mhm.
that your family
Same.
is from, the Dominican Republic. And it's like
Yeah.
it's those experiences, like it's like being from those backgrounds that really make me appreciative because like my parents, like, because I know some people like their parents are the reason why they don't travel. They're like, oh, my
Mm,
parent doesn't have this, my parent doesn't have that.
yeah.
Like having like immigrant parents is like they already know there's more outside of America. Like
Yeah.
this is not it. So
Yeah, for sure.
so when it comes to like just stepping out, it's like they'll make sure, they'll find a way to make sure that you go, or they'll find a way to make sure that you are just going abroad. But it just all starts
Mhm.
like asking. I feel like that's where a lot
Yeah.
of students go wrong is because they don't ask. It becomes like a curiosity.
It's difficult to ask for any kind of help for a lot of people, and like
Mm,
sometimes like parents can be limited. I do know that there are parents that can be supportive as well.
mhm,
But just know this is your life you're living. Like we're adults at this point, you know what I mean? We're in a very transitionary period that for so long we got used to being told where we're supposed to be,
mm,
and like we have to follow the rules of whoever it is, and we can't, go against whatever. But now we have the freedom legally to do, like we don't need our parents to sign off on like traveling abroad, you know what I mean?
right,
So like it's really on us, and there are opportunities out there, so definitely take advantage of it, to be honest, like really take advantage of it. And if you're scared, it's okay, just and it's also okay to ask for help. Ain't nobody know
right,
everything, nobody know everything.
right. That's a fact, right. That's
Hmm.
true. That's definitely true all the way. So I guess my next question would be, can you like indicate or highlight something from your experience abroad that has impacted you and like who you are today? Because I know you've been to so many different places. So
Oh, wow, that's a good one. That's a really good one. I feel like there's obviously multiple lessons always, even if you were to go to one country, but I've been to, multiple, and there's always been a whole lot of lessons that I've learned. I think for one, to be honest, every time I travel abroad, I do the best that I can to, because I feel a responsibility, to the people, to humanity, to really learn about the place,
mm,
and learn about the history, and do the best that I can to at least learn the basics of the language.
yeah,
Um, like just out of respect. But if there is anything that I feel like has changed me in a very, I think, drastic way, it's just like, I know it's hard and can be scary, but really trusting people. Yeah, there's scary stories out there, and I think this idea of judging and like, oh, you're going to this place, oh, be careful. I've heard this and that.
yeah,
Every place wherever you go, no matter, has its goods and bad. It's
yeah,
dangerous to even be alive. Like,
right.
first
Like
of
every
all, it's
day.
dangerous to be alive. I'm sorry,
Right.
um, so you really learn, like a huge one that I take with, like, literally I'm reminded every day is, like judgment. As
Mm,
human beings, we're always bound to judge, just because that's just how our brain wants to, like, prevent us from anything, that's like possibly bad or like dangerous.
mhm,
So it's kind of, I guess, reaction is to be like, hey, yo, watch out, like this could be bad, blah blah blah. But
right,
I think being able to really practice being mindful of when the judgment comes on, and
mm,
telling yourself, okay, I'm having a judgment right now,
mhm,
but it could not be true. You know what I mean? It allows you to really live a life in a very freeing way, because you start seeing other people just by, like, you start giving grace to them. You're like, oh, like this person has a story,
right,
and they're worth, like, it could be fun, like spending time with them,
mhm,
and saying yes to this trip or this adventure.
mhm,
And so I think that whole idea of just, becoming more conscious of when we're being judgmental, and allowing ourselves to just, you know allow other people a time of day, because they do, like, their stories do matter. And so
right.
I
Wow.
think, yeah, I think traveling really opens up your perspective. And as Americans, yeah, I came here when I was like 7, and I lived like back and forth. But I think this idea, like, that I've seen while living here, we many Americans like tend to think that it's, the U.S. has it all, and it's like,
Mm,
it's like the best. It has the best of this and all this stuff, and it's not. There's no best. You can't say it's the best when you haven't been to every single country and place on earth. I'm
right.
sorry. And so, when, especially, I want to say, when you live in New York City, and
Mhm,
this is just because I've also experienced this, you put on this expectation on other places on how they should be, and it's like, oh, this is like,
mhm,
this cannot compare to New York City, but you shouldn't compare it to New York City.
mhm,
So it's like, bro, every place is different, and I think it's kind of messed up that sometimes we compare it to, oh, in the U.S. this wouldn't happen, or this would. I'm sorry, but every place has its good, like goods and bad. So really being open minded and being conscious when we're being judgmental, I think it's a huge one that I've learned. So
Wow, no, yeah, you said some stuff like
bro, I could go on.
you said some stuff right. I'm not even gonna
Yeah.
lie, you said some stuff right there, and I like felt everything 100%. And a lot of the things that you said, like even though I studied abroad, what like maybe almost 2 years ago now, I've definitely still been trying to find like words to kind of explain my like what I've learned and stuff, and I
Yeah.
definitely said it like you put the words together and you delivered it.
Yeah.
And I feel like trusting people, like one thing I noticed about myself since I've like come back is that when I say I go to countries with no expectation, I do
Yes.
anything I do nowadays, I have no expectations for it. Because I just
Huge
realize
one.
your expectations limit your experience overall.
Oh,
And a lot of people don't even
yes.
understand that. And it's like, it's okay in the beginning, like your first few trips, maybe to have like, expectations. But overall,
Yeah.
it's like, listen, like, if something happens to me, something happens. Like every place, like you said, every place is dangerous. Even I think America's one of the most dangerous countries. If we're really talking about it,
Why we got it? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like if we
Sorry,
really
keep
talking
going.
about it, America
Mm-hmm.
definitely is one of the most dangerous countries. But
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those things where it's just like when you go to a country with just no expectations, I just feel like the experience is so much better. Like, and I love how you tackled the just trusting different people. And I feel like that was one thing that I definitely did learn.
Yeah.
Like just to trust people. Like it's people, don't get me like you said, there's crazy people all around. Like
Always.
you can't trust everybody, but it's one of those things where it's just like, as a person, you could always tell when something's a little off. Like,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
your instincts. But
Mhm.
overall, like just be open-minded to like just going, traveling with, other friends or, meeting up with people for coffee or tea or something like that. Like
Yeah.
something really small. And I just feel like that's something I learned. Like I feel like my state bar experience, I don't even judge people as much as I used to.
Yeah.
Like, honest,
For
like
real.
like international people, like I want to say when I was in Heart Hall, like the first couple of times I would just like see a lot of international people. I just be like, what are they talking about?
Same.
Like, what
Same.
are they saying? I hope
But
they.
yo, what are they
I
doing?
hope they're not talking.
What's going on here? Yeah.
Why is she looking at me? I hope she's not talking about me. Like I was just
Yeah.
like, I don't want to say I was like negative towards them because like I'm just not a rude person like that.
Yeah.
But I was just like, they strange.
Yeah. It's your first time being in an
Different
environment like
vibe.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah. But after a while, you realize, like, yo,
they
people are
just
mad
regular
cool.
people.
And you can see the weirdest thing to you. Like, you can see I don't know, you can see something that you've never seen before and you question and be like, what is that? But after a while, literally, your level and I guess idea of weird is out the window. You're like, yo, that's valid. Like you know what I mean? So
Exactly. Yeah. Your level of
yeah.
awareness changes. And I think the reason why when I got back and I just felt like, wow, like the international students, they just regular people was because for once I was on the other side now. Now we were
Exactly.
on the other
It's
side. Now
different.
we were
Yeah.
the international students. And I was just
Yeah.
like, wow, this is what it feels like to be an international student. You're kind of
Mhm.
shy in a new environment. You don't know what's going on. It's just
It's a lot.
it's like I started thinking about it, I'm like, people in Heart, like they're literally in the same position as me. They're new, they don't know what's going on. This is a new country, this is foreign land. And I was just like, Awa, the nerve of you.
Bro,
The
you have to
nerve of
you have to have some kind of bravery to do that, Like people think
yes,
like really move to another country and just
yes.
like live there, like bro. Yeah. Nah.
It's different. It's different, especially for
Mhm.
you to like go to like 4 different countries, which leads me into like my next question. Like, what advice would you have for immersing yourself in a new language?
Oh, that's a good one. I'm loving these questions. Because a lot of people, especially Americans, because I've seen the difference between Americans and even I guess Europeans, and I know people can agree like with me on this because
Hmm.
in Europe it's very common for people to know more than one language, like very common,
Mhm.
easy. In the US, not so much. So like, and people are very afraid about, oh, I can't learn it, and it's difficult. Learning a language is difficult, is not impossible. Yeah, there may be people who are born with the ease of just learning more, like just languages quicker, just
Yeah.
because that's just how they grew up. Like that's the case for me because I had to learn English when I came here. Um, and later on, I learned Italian in high school, which I was really grateful for. And then like Portuguese, I realized it wasn't that difficult. And even whenever I'm picking up a new language, like this summer, I've been learning some Arabic, and I'm like, it's not as crazy. And so, um, I've told, and even I remember when I traveled to Brazil, like Brazilians would be like, "Oh my God, you know these languages? Like, how do you learn them? You know?" And I'm like, "You really the like one of the things you probably hear a lot, and I'm gonna say it is like it's practice, and it's not about like, oh, I don't have the time. It's really just adjusting what you already do in your daily routine to
Mm,
that language. By
mhm.
that I mean, for example, like some of the tips that I always give people is your phone, for example, you're on it 24/7. Like you could change the language. If you're learning Italian, change it to Italian, and you'll begin to learn very simple words. You begin to learn, I like or share or like repost all these stuff, right? So, the other thing is, like the music. Even if you don't know the language,
Mm,
start
mm,
listening to some music. You don't
right.
know what artists, are popular in Italy or like whatever country it is, go search it up on YouTube or even Spotify. Spotify has this. I'm pretty sure probably Apple Music also has it, but I'm more
Yeah.
familiar with Spotify. Where you can see like the top like 50 songs that are popping off in that country.
Mhm.
Um, and then when it comes to films or series, whether it's on YouTube or even Netflix, there
Mm,
are opportunities for you to really allow yourself and give you the chance to I'm gonna really have my brain practice this.
mhm.
um and I think it's really about like how much do you want it. Do you really care enough to actually go through it? And it's really the
Right.
basics. If you're traveling to a country, I'd say in my opinion, the very least you could do is learn the basics. Thank you, hi,
Mhm.
welcome, where is this, where is that? Because when people in another country, like they see that you're actually trying and you have some familiarity
Mm,
with the language,
right.
it's like it's like really a sense of respect because you don't come here thinking. And I think as Americans, we really have a huge privilege, and I think a lot of us don't
Yep.
take this for granted.
Mhm.
English, we could travel to so many countries and we would be okay because yeah, we speak English. But the fact that you speak English and people could probably speak it in that country doesn't like I think you should still learn the basic of
Yeah.
of the native language because out of respect, we're not it's not all I think very blessed that there's many places that that English is the dominant language, but it
Yeah.
shouldn't prevent us from having the respect to learn another language.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's really about adjusting whatever you do in your day to day to include that language that you want to learn
Right.
and practicing. So I think that's pretty much the tips that I always give to people whenever it comes to
Mm.
immersing yourself in the language. And if you have the chance, like living with a host family, that helps 110% more because you're forced to speak it a lot more. So yeah.
No, yeah, that it definitely is like that's definitely some good advice because, like you said, a lot of people in America, like a lot of my friends are not like bilingual. So they
Hmm.
aren't like bilingual. So it's like they've never had to like learn another language outside of the native language of English.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I know one of the things that are concerning is how am I gonna like talk to people when I get there, or how would I speak to anybody when I get there? And I definitely do think it's a good concern because it's just like wow, you're used
Valid.
to being one
Yeah.
way all your life. Now you have to kind of like adjust to something
Hmm.
else. I would say like it is fair to have that as like something that you are curious about, but it shouldn't
Yeah.
be like taking over your whole judgment.
Yeah. Nah.
Um,
Hmm.
but yeah,
For
and I would
sure.
definitely say like nobody's gonna like throw you, especially when you're studying abroad. Like I said, these programs are very, very helpful. Like even during my study abroad, like the first 2 weeks we had like a Czech course, a Czech
Mm,
language course. So they just taught us the basic language, like
right.
how to say hello, how to say
Mhm.
bye, how to say, welcome, how to say where can I
Mm,
find this or where
mm,
can I have this? Like, because I noticed like I mean I'm bilingual myself, so I just know the importance of just like speaking another
right.
language or just I just know like what it feels like when you go to a different country and like you said like when
Mhm.
native just hear um Americans, learning their language, they're like, oh wow, like they're kind
They
of
be impressed. They be like, hey,
like,
yo.
even if you ain't just say the word right, maybe you fumbled the whole sentence. They just like
They will hype you up.
you try, like like they be like, yeah, they're like, I feel like
For
they're
real.
more. I feel like they soften up a little bit with you as well. So
Mm-hmm.
they're like,
That's
oh,
true.
girl, let me help you out. I can help you
Yeah,
out.
that's for real. Yeah.
We can help you out, right? Or even like starting off like saying, or maybe if you don't know a lot, like just starting off by saying like hello is mandatory. Like learn how to getting is learn it.
Right.
Maybe you'll start off by saying hello and then you'll say everything else in English.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like at least
something.
You're doing a little something in there.
Yeah, at least something. Yeah, and I'm glad you brought the little classes or that you had at the beginning of your orientation, because that's another thing. If you have the option with your program at the university to take like a beginner's course on the language, go for it. I remember when I was in Sao Paulo, Brazil, I took an intermediate level course for the whole semester. And it's kind of interesting because it had students from all over, like international students from all over, and we all had different levels. So it definitely helped in me being able to practice and being with a group of people that understood maybe the frustrations of what it comes to like learning the language. So definitely, if you have the opportunity to be in a class that where you can actually learn, the language, where there's grammar and how to speak it, I 10 out of 10 would recommend, because that's just like you actually have time set aside on your schedule to dedicate to the language while abroad, So yeah.
That's a fact. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Wow. Okay. Yeah. We definitely are closing in on our final question. I like to just ask everybody, because you definitely said a lot of good things. Like,
I always like talking about it.
The same. I can talk about this for days, like every single day. I guess like my next question is just be like, like what advice like would you give to people who are, curious about study abroad, are still kind of like on that fence about it? Like they're like, I want to do it, I don't want to do it. Like what advice can you give to them?
I say go for it. I say go for it. I think when we're on the fence about something, it's a lot scarier when we don't do it, because then we think all of the time, what if we did it? You know what I mean? So I think you honestly will never know unless you actually give it a shot. And you don't have to know how it's going to end up. Just do it. Just go with the flow. Like trust the process. There's so many resources out there for you to even gain some sort of level of, I guess, comfortability in knowing what you're up for. But like Awa said, don't go with any expectations, literally no expectations. Just know that there's literally so much like great things out there in this world to explore, so much. And as human beings who share a whole planet, I think if we have the accessibility to, it's our responsibility to explore the most we can, to be honest. I think if we have the accessibility to and we don't, it can be, in my opinion, a little bit ignorant to, what's out there. And so just go for it. Just go for it and trust the process. And if you end up having, some, I guess, like bad experiences, in life, that's just life. It literally happens. I really hope that you don't allow those experiences to scar you from exploring whatever it is that you want to explore. Like always be curious. I think when you live a life of just wanting to know and asking questions and like really wanting to really genuinely understand the world better and people better, I think life is just more fun, to be honest. Like, so just do it. You're on the fence, do it. That's your answer. Just do it.
I love that. Yeah, just do it.
Yeah.
But we're at the end of our podcast, end of this episode. So thank you so much, Naomi, for joining on today's episode. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. Thank you for being inspirational for students who are on the fence about studying abroad. I hope everybody enjoyed this episode. So definitely make sure that you stay in tune for the next episode, because this series is ongoing. There's so many other countries that we have to explore. There's so many other people we have to speak to. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. So I would definitely see you guys on the next one. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Awa.